I will call you what you are. Sociopath, psychopath, murderer.
You are so beyond human. You're definitely a demon from hell.
He is a hollow vessel, something less than human.
You're nothing. May you continue to live your life in misery.
That was some of Bryan Kohberger's sentencing, and now some new photos are surfacing of Kohberger after the murders. He's seen shirtless and mugging for the camera in these newly released pictures. A wound is visible on his left hand. We zoomed in there so you can see it on his knuckle there. It's unclear if he sustained that injury during the murders. Don't know. But investigators do know that he likes to take selfies, apparently. They found a number of shirtless selfies on his phone. I think he appears to be flexing here. That's the common theme for him. How disgusting. So we're asking our power panel this morning, what was this killer thinking with these selfies? Was he admiring himself? Was he impressed with himself? Let's bring in high-profile criminal defense attorney Michael J. Brown and criminology expert, author, and professor at St. Thomas University, Dr. Debbie Goodman. Dr. Debbie, let me start with you. Was this sicko admiring himself in the mirror?
Absolutely, Julie. It is so disgusting. You're 100% correct. I think he was gloating. The words to describe for me about him would be hedonistic. He's deriving pleasure, and unfortunately, he was proud of what he did. And I think this photo also represents a purpose for him. What is the purpose? To remember what he did, and I think to crystallize a moment in time where he went from potentially a student in a PhD program to now one of our most infamous, vile, horrendous mass murderers. So it's one of these images where we just need to look away. He's a failure, he's a loser, and he will live the rest of his life in this incarcerated environment thinking about what he did every day.
You're so right, Dr. Debbie. You said something I find so fascinating, how you said he's marking this moment in time. Take us a step further. For a killer like him, what does that mean to him to be marking the moment?
Right. It's an outstanding moment for him, especially somebody at the time, 28 years old. Again, we've talked about his failures, both personally, not having a friend or any type of confidant, let alone an intimate party. And then he was failing, of course, as we know in the professional world, as what he was at the time, a teaching, training assistant, a graduate assistant. But that's what they do, Julie. These individuals who we discuss as serial murderers, mass murderers, moments in time become very, very significant for them. He will hold on to that moment for a lifetime, unfortunately, because he did get what he wanted. He got the attention. He thinks some type of fame. We'll never call him that, but he is an infamous, vile, just repulsive individual that, unfortunately, we know his name.
You're so right. Preach everything you just said, Dr. Debbie. Thank you. Michael J. Brown, same question to you. What was this animal thinking?
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Debbie. I'm not an expert in that field, Julie, but I think this is his posing with the trophy. This is when you win a Super Bowl, you have the trophy, and you're posing because you just accomplished something tremendous in your mind. In this individual's sick, deranged mind, he accomplished a tremendous achievement, and he's posing afterwards. But there's something very important about that photo, I think, from a defense standpoint, Julie, because it would have been very useful, that photograph, for the defense if they had gone to trial, because it's of his upper body, it's of his face. The only injury that you see is this minuscule injury on the knuckles, which you actually had to focus on and do a real close-up. And I think that would have went a long way in the trial, because you would expect some wounds on him if he was in fact involved. We know he's the admitted killer, so that's not the issue. But if this went to trial, I think the defense would have used this photograph to their advantage.
Michael, that's an excellent point. It really is, because these photos weren't released until now because they're case evidence, and that's why they were sealed off. And now we're seeing these things released in dribbles with respect to the case. So that's an excellent point. One may have thought, you know, perhaps even if it wasn't a cut, perhaps a bruise, a scratch, maybe something, you know, who knows? But that's a great point as we zoom in on that little teeny mark on his knuckle. Just disgusting. And one last question for you, please, Dr. Debbie. The flexing, with him flexing, you know, we know this is just after he murdered, you know, 4 unsuspecting people in their sleep. I mean, what kind of a flex is that? Does this guy feel proud from attacking people who, you know, were in their sleep in the middle of the night and couldn't defend themselves?
Yes, Julie, as horrendous as it sounds, I believe that's exactly what we are seeing here. He did feel proud. I think he derived pleasure, hence how we describe him as a hedonistic killer, deriving pleasure from the vile act itself. And then I think that picture with the purpose so that he'll always remember. And the other clip that you had on, I just wanted to comment about the gesture of a salute. Again, how astonishing that this individual is saluting himself. It's unbelievable to me, because we know those who are deserving of the salute gesture, and especially on a day of today, you know, of course, the anniversary of the 9/11 tragedies 24 years ago, but who do we salute in our country? Our men and women of military service, of law enforcement, our first responders who are so brave and courageous. And I'm absolutely disgusted, Julie, to see this picture, and he's giving himself this salute of acknowledgement.
Yes, Dr. Debbie, thank you for the mention of 9/11. It's a heavy day today, always, and our thoughts and prayers to all of those victims, and our thanks to those first responders. We have another facet to the Idaho student murders case we want to ask you questions about this morning, Michael and Dr. Debbie, and this is relating to surviving housemate Bethany Funk's interview with police that's just been made public. We haven't seen a lot of her, but here she is. This is a picture taken from her Facebook profile, and here's a clip of what she told police about the night of the homicides.
I just went to bed, and then I woke up and I was like half asleep, and I just thought I saw like a firework or something. Like it just sparkled like under my door, and I thought I heard like something kind of crawl, and then Murphy barked, but I thought people were just making like food, like and Ethan was here or something and knocked something over, because he's usually loud in the kitchen upstairs.
So, hear the firework, kind of see a spark underneath the door, Murphy barks. What'd you hear after that?
Pretty much nothing. That's it.
Okay. And you thought maybe someone was just in the kitchen at that point?
Yeah, just like someone accidentally fell into the table or something.
Okay.
And she was like, with Murphy.
Do you know about what time that might have been? Do you have any
Like
idea?
4 or something. I tried to call all of them at like 4:20ish around that time, and no one was answering. I thought they just went to bed or something.
And later in the 28-minute video, Funk goes on to describe the time roughly right before the killings when Kaylee Gonsalves was alone outside, took her dog out one night and said she saw a shadowy figure before her. But Funk says she didn't recall anybody complaining about somebody stalking them. So this was an event prior to the stabbings that just kind of came and went. But of course, you look back and hindsight is always 20/20. So will Bethany Funk's interview or any nuggets from it help police determine a motive? Michael J. Brown, what do you think about that?
I don't think so, Julie. I don't know if there's anything that's going to come of this other than this young lady was traumatized, and it's horrible to listen and go through her 25 or so minute interview. But what's interesting from a legal standpoint is her testimony in her interview actually counters my argument that was made earlier, because there is no loud noise and yelling and screaming and struggle, which enabled her to sleep through this for the most part. And that's important because it kind of shows that they weren't defending themselves. They didn't have that ability. They probably were sleeping, and hence the lack of any physical injuries to Kohberger himself. So I think she actually would be an important witness, if not for anything else, but to eliminate that argument that, hey, he's not the guy because there's no injuries on him.
Really sharp points, Michael. Thank you. Dr. Debbie, same question to you. Any insight you think we can glean into the motive here?
Well, I think, Julie, I would agree with Michael. Most likely not from Bethany nor from Dylan, but we've discussed potentially what we think with jealousy, anger, revenge. What Dylan and Bethany really both bring to the table, of course, is just the enormity of the victimization. Of course, we will always remember, respect, the victims, Maddie, Kaylee, Ethan, Zaina, but we also have to recognize that even though they survived, Bethany and Dylan are still traumatized victims, and we continue to hope and pray for their healing and their health.
Yes. We'll leave it there for now. Great discussion with you both. Dr. Debbie, we've got to let you get off to class. Thank you for everything this morning.